Hello, dear friends, welcome to the Wisdom Circle. Today, we're diving into something I think is deeply important. What younger generations often get wrong about aging. Now, this isn't about criticizing youth. It's about bridging a gap. Because what we don't understand, we tend to fear or worse, ignore. And aging is one of the most misunderstood parts of life. Let's talk. Segment 1. The fear of losing relevance. Many young people think aging means becoming irrelevant. That once you pass a certain age, your opinions no longer matter. Your presence no longer shapes culture. And your voice fades into the background. But let me ask you this. How can people who have lived through wars, revolutions, the birth of the internet, economic crises, and personal reinventions be irrelevant? We are the living archives of human history. Aging doesn't make you less relevant. It makes your presence more layered. Your perspective isn't outdated, it's seasoned. And in a fast-paced world obsessed with trends, what could be more grounding than wisdom that stood the test of time? What young people often miss is that relevance isn't about trends, it's about meaning, depth, and impact. Segment 2. Aging is not just decline. Another myth, aging is a downhill slope. Once you hit your 60s, it's all about decline: your health, your memory, your looks, your value. Wrong. Yes, our bodies change. And yes, we face challenges that youth may not understand. But aging also brings something incredible: clarity. You begin to see what really matters. You let go of toxic people faster. You stop chasing things that don't feed your soul. And best of all, you start to embrace yourself in ways that youth often struggles to. Our strength changes, but it doesn't disappear. It transforms from physical to emotional, from brute energy to calm resilience. I've climbed emotional mountains in my 60s that I couldn't even see in my 30s. Segment 3. We still dream, still grow. Young people often believe that by 60 or 70, the dreaming stops. Oh no, let me tell you, some of the most vivid, brave dreams I've had came later in life. I've known people who started painting at 65, launched businesses at 70, found love again at 75. You don't stop growing when you age, you just grow in different directions. You may not be chasing promotions or raising toddlers, but you might be learning to forgive yourself, to write that book, to hike that trail you always put off. There's this idea that old age is a static phase, a sort of waiting room for the end. But here's the truth: aging is still living. It's just as much about becoming as it is about being. Segment 4. We're not all the same. As if senior were a personality type. But being over 60 doesn't make us a monolith. We're rebels and caretakers, introverts and party animals, hikers and knitters, tech-savvy and totally unplugged. Some of us are politically active, some of us are proudly apolitical. Some of us live with pain, some of us are stronger now than in our 40s. Youth tends to lump us together because they fear what they don't understand, but we're just as diverse as they are, maybe even more so, because we've had time to evolve through many different phases of self. So if you're young, don't assume you know what aging looks like. Ask, listen, you might be surprised. Segment 5. We still have sexuality and intimacy. Let's get honest. Another thing young people get wrong is thinking intimacy ends with youth. Nope. Sex, affection, companionship, they don't expire. The truth is, intimacy after 60 can be deeper, freer, and more honest than in your younger years. Because by now, you know your body, you've stopped performing. You've learned how to communicate. It may look different, sure, but it's very much alive. And emotional intimacy, even more powerful. When you've loved and lost, survived heartbreak, or built a marriage that's weathered storms, the connection becomes less about intensity and more about depth. That's the kind of closeness you can't manufacture, it's earned. Segment 6. Aging is not giving up. One of the saddest misconceptions is that aging means giving up on style, fun, relevance, or even adventure. But I know people in their 70s who dress with more flair than TikTok influencers. People who still travel, still fall in love, still try new things. Growing older doesn't mean settling. It means choosing, and sometimes choosing joy looks like starting a salsa class at 68. There's power in that. In fact, many people over 60 report feeling more themselves than they did at any other time. Why? Because they've finally shed the need to please others. They're living for the man. That, my friends, is liberation. Segment 7. We're not just old people. Old is often used as a final label, as if everything else you've ever been gets erased. You're not just someone's grandma, or a retiree, or a sweet old man. You're also a woman who once marched for civil rights, a man who built a business from nothing, a teacher who shaped hundreds of lives, a survivor of lost joy, change, and everything in between. You carry multitudes. Your life is not reduced by your age, it is enriched by it. Young people sometimes look at aging and see limitation, but we, who have lived it, know that we are more than the sum of our wrinkles. We are fierce. We are funny. We are free. To anyone young watching this, if you're lucky, one day you'll be exactly where we are. And how you treat aging and those who are aging. Don't fear getting older. Learn from those who already are. Talk to your grandparents. Listen to the quiet stories. And most importantly, don't assume. Aging is not a curse. It's not a failure. It's not a breakdown, it's a becoming. And we, in the Wisdom Circle, are here to remind you that life doesn't end after 60, it deepens. Until next time, stay wise, stay kind, and stay curious.